Good evening, everybody. I am the Barangoat, and welcome back to Robot Wars Reborn Cup Season 2. It's time for Heat B today. We got a couple big names ready to showcase their abilities, including the number 4 seed, Storm 2. It's going to be a very fun night, especially if Heat A has taught us anything about how this series is going to go. It's going to be fun, wacky, and unpredictable. Somebody else that's fun, wacky, and unpredictable, our commentator for the fights this season, BattleBot's boy, Rich. How you doing, Rich? Why don't you take us through Heat B's lineup?
Thanks very much, Nick. So, we have Heat B all set and ready to go for you guys, and based on what we saw in last week's episode, I'm not sure what to expect in this heat. I mean, we could see some over-the-top wins or some ridiculous losses, but the point I'm trying to get across is we should all expect the unexpected, because anything can happen here. Speaking of which, let's see what happens when we fire up Round 1. So, here's the lineup of Round 1 for Heat B. Our seeded machine for tonight is the number 4 seed Storm 2. He'll be fighting the first generation of the Jurassic Park team, Stegosaurus. The King is in the house tonight. King B, that is. He'll be looking to stomp on nuts. I made that sound more painful than it should. Anyway, Aftershock is here, hoping to crash his way past Casius. But up first, it's Razer, the former British, World, and International League champion, up against the first ever British champion of Robot Wars, Roadblock.
From Bournemouth in Dorset, Razer.
Razer is back after fighting over at the Robot Wars Reborn Cup. If you want to see how well he did there, go ahead and check that out. Razer's overall career record is not as good as it should be, though. Let's hope he can improve on that tonight.
From Bodmin Community College, Roadblock.
A former Robot Wars champion who, sadly, is very outdated here. It's slow, it has poor armor, the weaponry primitive. I mean, it's Roadblock. What more are you expecting from it?
Robot stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
And let round 1 of Heat B begin, as Roadblock chases Razer across the arena flipper. Now, Roadblock shouldn't really do that, because if he gets turned over, then that'll be it. Roadblock will have no way to right himself, as Roadblock goes in with a saw, and Razer bites down on it. That was a pretty risky move by Razer there, because he would have lost the tip of his weapon doing that. Here you can see Razer biting down on Roadblock's saw, both robots taking damage from the ordeal, as Roadblock gets underneath Razer. Now that's kind of surprising to me, seeing Roadblock have the better wedge of the two, but not when he's being attacked from behind by Razer, as Razer retreats and lines up for another attack, backing into the wedge of Roadblock. Now, why on earth would he do that? Was he trying to attack with that rear spike? Seemed kind of pointless, considering that the spike on the tip of Razer's beak is much more effective. As you can see here, Razer able to grab a hold of Roadblock a couple more times and score some more points. Now, both of these robots lost in the first round of the previous season of the Robot Wars Reborn Cup, and in the same heat, too. Roadblock losing to Stinger, Razer losing to Typhoon 2, and their losses are pretty understandable. I mean, Razer ended up losing to another Robot Wars champ. Roadblock, on the other hand, well, it's Roadblock. What can you expect? As Razer charges head-on, wedge-on-wedge against Roadblock, and now Razer had the better wedge here. Roadblock going for the pit release button, and that might be Roadblock's only hope. If he can somehow trick Razer into driving into the pit, then Roadblock would pull off the biggest comeback of the tournament. But Razer continued to get under Roadblock, scored some more points with that beak, hold them over the flame jet. Roadblock pretty much got nothing against Razer here. He's trying to reach out with that saw, but can't really do much. Roadblock, a seriously outdated design. Got nothing against the two-time world champ. But like I said, his only hope is that Razer somehow drives himself into the pit, just like what Carbide did in last week's episode. Oh, Razer almost did right there. But Razer knows that Roadblock wants him to go in the pit, and he ain't gonna take the bait unless he suffers from John Reed syndrome and drives into the pit anyway. But Razer gets underneath Roadblock again and scores some more points with that crusher. Roadblock trying to reach out with a saw, maybe going for those exposed wheels on Razer. That could help him out here, but Razer has such a huge lead over Roadblock here, dominating this match from the get-go, getting underneath Roadblock again, biting down with that crusher, pushing him toward the wall, scoring some more points. Roadblock is seriously getting beaten up by the two-time world champ. Here you can see Razer being more aggressive and controlled over his opponent, as Roadblock is just delaying the inevitable here. We're winding down the final seconds of this match. It's going to go to the judges. It's pretty clear who the judges are going to pick for this match. Oh, thank God that boring mess is over. Well, let's take a look at the replays, if there were any. I mean, it's just all Razer dominating Roadblock from start to finish. And whoever wins this match is going to get their first win ever in the Robot Wars Reborn Cup. And I can tell you for certain who it isn't going to be. Razer, clearly the dominant machine here. And I'm not getting paid to sit through this kind of boring crap, Nick. I demand more better matches! So the judges have made their decision quickly using the 4 key factors: aggression, damage, control, and strategy. And it's fairly obvious. The winner of this match is Razer. Might as well call it a free win so that Mr. Psycho can complain about it. Razer goes through. Next up we have Aftershock against Casius.
From Reading and Gravesend, Aftershock.
New to the Robot Wars Reborn Cup, Aftershock sports a very devastating vertical disc and is very low to the ground, so he could be putting Casius to the test. But one flip from his opponent and that could be it.
From Stone Market, Casius.
Runner-up of Robot Wars Series 2, Casius sports the front hinge flipper that doubles as a self-righting mechanism, knocked out by Can Opener in the second round last season, and Casius is hoping to improve on that. He likes to slay and to play every day, Casius Clay.
Robot stand by. 3, 2, 1.
So, it's Flipper versus Spinner, as Aftershock gets his weapon up to full speed already. Casius being a bit cautious here, and I wouldn't blame him because he is going up against a robot with a very damaging weapon, as Casius tried to get underneath Aftershock, but as I pointed out, Aftershock is very low to the ground. Casius fires the flipper and misses. Aftershock getting underneath the side of Casius and lift him up with that vertical spinner. Aftershock continuing to attack the former Robot Wars runner-up as he pushes Casius toward the drop zone. Casius is trying to get away, but Aftershock seemed to be latched onto his tail there as he continued to chip away on the armor of Casius, who now gets away. There you can see Aftershock pins Casius against the wall and gets under him with that vertical disc. Didn't quite get him over though, but it looked good in the eyes of the judges. Aftershock attacking Casius from the side again as he continues to chip away the armor of Casius. Oh, now Aftershock got Casius pinned against the wall again, burying that spinner into the backside of his opponent. Aftershock backed away. He's got to release his opponent now, as he can only hold his opponent for 10 seconds. There you can see Aftershock going in with the pin, scoring some more points there. Casius got to get that wedge facing towards his opponent and score a flip-in, because if he turns Aftershock over, then Aftershock will most likely be unable to right himself. But Aftershock turns Casius over on his back. Casius got a self-right mechanism with that flipper, but look at that. That was a great flip there by Aftershock, using that spinner to turn Casius over. And Casius seemed to be having trouble righting himself. Can he self-right? Oh, that was a good shot there by Aftershock, As he comes in with the spinner, he's going in for the kill. Aftershock rights Casius, and Casius had been killed by the spinner of Aftershock. There you can see Aftershock rewriting Casius before going in for the finishing blow. Aftershock goes through. Well, I honestly thought Casius could self-right with that arm. I was wrong. Anyway, Aftershock won that match. Next up we have King B against Nuts.
From Hammond, King B Powerworks.
King B returns, now known as King B Powerworks, with a much improved design overall, with the front lifting spikes and the rear saw. It got knocked out in round 1 by 13 Black last season. Can he do better this time around?
From Reading, Nuts.
Newcomer to the Robot Wars Reborn Cup, Nuts is here as a full-body spinning thwackbot. But because it's a thwackbot, it's going to be relying more on defense rather than offense. Let's see if that's going to be a disadvantage here in this match.
Robot Wars, stand by. 3, 2, 1.
And here we go with the second half of round 1 as King Buckton immediately goes after Nuts and drives into an angle grinder where he lost a piece of his frame. Oh, that was a nice whack there by Nuts, landing a hit on the side of King B and taking another piece of the frame off. King B got to come up with an idea to go after Nuts without taking any more hits from those flailing spikes. As Nuts lands a couple more hits on King Buckton, and he just took a piece of the lifter off right there. That's going to score some damage points. Oh, Nuts! King Buckton got thrown out of the arena by a havoc explosion. That should not have happened. King Buckton thrown out of the ring by a glitch in the game. We're going to have to stop the match and restart.
Robot Wars, stand by.
So here we go. Take 2.
3, 2, 1.
Alright, let's see if we can get through this match without another havoc explosion deciding the outcome. And King Buckton gets thrown in the air by a havoc explosion again. Look at this. Just as he took Nuts' arm off, he gets thrown sky high by another glitch. Thankfully, he's able to stay in the arena this time, as a piece of Nuts' arm got thrown into the pit release tire, or trigger, I should say. Nuts now missing an arm, and he gets tumbled over by King Buckton's lifting spikes, not once but twice. King Buckton scoring all the aggression points, going in after Nuts, who keeps sitting and spinning in place, and able to take a piece off of King Buckton's lifter right there. King Buckton underneath Nuts again. Nuts twirling around on the top of King Buckton. Look at that. Doing a little bot ballet there. And King Buckton, another piece on the floor there. That looked like a piece of Nuts' frame. Nuts just sitting and spinning in place. That's not going to score him any aggression points, but it will score him damage points if he continues to land more hits on King Buckton with that arm like he just did right there. King Buckton continuing to go in on the attack with those lifting spikes, trying to take off that other arm and maybe go for those big wheels on Nuts. Nuts continuing to spin around, continuing to land more hits on King Buckton. Landing a couple of hits there on the tires as King Buckton gets under Nuts again. That was another nice flip there by King B. As King B keeps attacking with those lifting spikes, and now it looks like he's going to go in with a saw, and he is, and he's pushing Nuts toward the pit. Oh, Nuts it dangerously close to the pit. Nuts just able to get away. How did he not fall in? Look at that. He was inches away from oblivion, and somehow he managed to slip away. King Buckton, oh no, King Buckton dangerously close to the pit, and down he goes. King Buckton ends up falling into the pit instead, and Nuts will be going through. Wow, what bad luck by King B, becoming a victim of the Havoc explosions before falling into the pit on his own accord. Nuts will be moving on to the next round, and last up for round 1 is the 4th seed Storm 2 against Stegosaurus.
From Suffolk, seeded number 4. Storm 2.
Storm 2 made it to the grand final last season before getting knocked out by the eventual champ Supernova. A very fast six-wheel machine with a lifting arm, but maybe a bit too fast to maintain complete control.
From Southampton, Stegosaurus.
Father of Steg 2 and grandfather of 3 Stegs to Heaven, Stegosaurus is here to prove that dinosaurs are not extinct with the tail flipper as his primary weapon, but it's a very outdated design, just like what we saw with Roadblock and Casius earlier in this heat.
Robot Wars, stand by. 3, 2, 1.
So, here we go for the final match of the first round. As Storm 2 gets behind Stegosaurus, drives him toward the wall, and throws him out of the arena in a single attack! And that's it! That's all there is to it! Blink, and you would have missed it! Storm 2 slams Stegosaurus into the wall and out of the arena, just like that! Quick and to the point. That's how round 1 concludes, with Storm 2 throwing Stegosaurus out of the arena in the blink of an eye. The number 4 seeded machine is going through, along with Nuts, Aftershock, and Razer. And here's how they line up for round 2. We're going to see Nuts tussle with the number 4 seed Storm 2, but up first, it will be Razer up against Aftershock.
Robot Wars, stand by. 3, 2, 1.
So, who's got the better wedge between the two? Well, that answers my question quickly. It seemed to be Aftershock, and he was able to immediately get underneath Razer and lift him up with that vertical spinner, able to chip away on the underside of his opponent. Razer, now underneath Aftershock, able to clamp down on his opponent with that claw. Both robots are now lining up for another shot as Razer goes in for another attack, only to get turned over by Aftershock's spinner. Can Razer self-right? That was a nice head-on collision there by Razer, but Aftershock, in retaliation, turns Razer over onto his back. Aftershock opens up the pit just as Razer successfully righted himself. And now Razer going back in on the attack, getting underneath Aftershock again to continue munching down on his opponent. Aftershock took off the wheel guard of Razer right there, taking off the wheel guard for the front left wheel. And now it looked like Aftershock is going to go for the other wheel guard, or perhaps is he going to go for the exposed wheels? Razer trying to get around to the side or the back of Aftershock, trying to avoid that spinner. But Aftershock always keeping that spinner facing towards Razer, and able to land a hit on that wheel guard there, able to take a piece off there. Aftershock got a nice little lift there on Razer with his spinner, and he's now starting to chip away on the exposed wheels of Razer, pushing Razer toward the drop zone. There goes the rest of that wheel guard. Now all of Razer's wheels are exposed and vulnerable to the spinner of Aftershock, as Aftershock is now going for the wheels, going for those vital weak spots, as he gets underneath Razer again and flips him over on his side for a second time, but Razer able to recover quickly and is now back in on the action. Razer trying to get underneath Aftershock, trying to go for a counterattack to make up for the lost points from being turned over and from losing his wheel guards. Aftershock chasing down Razer as Razer charges in for another attack. Not much happened there. Razer going in for another attack, but it was merely a bump instead of a ram. Well, that was a nice little hit there by Razer, getting underneath Aftershock, and again, able to bite down on the wedge of Aftershock. As you can see here, Razer starting to catch up on points, but he's got a long way to go, as he's taken a significant amount of damage from that spinning blade of Aftershock, as Aftershock gets in on the side of Razer, trying to go for the wheels. Razer now underneath Aftershock again, but Aftershock escapes, but not before losing a piece of his frame. And there goes the wheel of Razer. Aftershock taking off the front left wheel of Razer in retaliation to losing part of his frame, as Aftershock retreats to spin his weapon back up and goes in for another attack, going for the backside of Razer. And we're getting close to the end of this match as Aftershock is looking to go in for the kill and get the finishing blow. Aftershock is the winner of this match by a KO. He's moving on to the Heat Final.
Cease.
Well, it's nice to see Razer get a little bit of success in the Robot Wars Reborn Cup, but I'm afraid his celebration is short-lived as Aftershock had knocked him out of the competition. He's moving on to the Heat Final, where he shall meet either Nuts or Storm 2.
Rambunctious, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Alright, it's the full body spinner against the full body hammer as Storm 2 goes in on the attack, and a piece is on the floor. I'm not sure what that is. I think it might be a piece of Nuts' flail after he landed a hit on the backside of Storm 2. Storm waiting patiently and goes in for a great charge attack right there, knocking Nuts up in the air. That was a great hit by the number 4 seed as Nuts continued to spin in place. Storm 2 looked like he's going to try to play the waiting game, wait for Nuts to spin back down before he goes in on the attack. Nuts now spinning back up, and Storm 2 is just going to play it safe. He charges and misses, almost crashing into the wall instead. Storm 2 going in for another attack, and he's able to pop Nuts up in the air once again. Oh, Nuts able to get a few good hits there on Storm 2, and continues to spin again. Storm 2 tried to go in for an attack, but turns away at the last second, trying to avoid taking another shot from Nuts. Storm 2, one of the fastest machines of the Robot Wars Reborn Cup, and he throws Nuts in the air yet again, not once but twice, and Nuts just lost his arm. There you can see he gets popped up in the air by Storm 2 before Storm 2 went in to break off one of Nuts' arms and was able to avoid a Havoc explosion this time. Storm 2, what on earth was that? He tried to go in for an attack but just hooked right into the wall instead. Storm 2 showing a lack of control here. I did point out that the quick speed of Storm 2 could make it difficult for him to be controlled. Oh, Nuts now ramming himself into the wall, as did Storm 2. Both bots showing some poor control. They need to get a grip on themselves. Nuts able to land another hit on Storm 2, and he lost the spike on that arm. So, Nuts is now basically weaponless. He had no spikes left. He just has a limp flail with no weapon at the end. As Storm 2 continued to bully Nuts and break the other arm off of his opponent, Nuts is now absolutely weaponless. No way to attack, no way to defend, no hope, no future. Nuts pretty much had no chance of beating Storm 2 as Storm 2 tosses him into CPZ, looking to maybe throw him out of the arena like he did Stegosaurus in the previous round. We shall see. Nuts is a very awkward machine to get a hold of. And what happened here? Storm 2 stuck in the floor. Storm 2 driving towards Nut, and somehow he got himself caught in the floor. Well, because the fight glitched after the 2-minute mark, we're going to have to go to the judge's decision, who will be awarding points based on aggression, damage, strategy, and control. And based on those key factors, up to the point of Storm 2 glitching into the floor, the judges have awarded the victory to the number 4 seed Storm 2. He shall be moving forth to the Heat B final, where he shall face Aftershock. Back over to you, Nick.
Thanks, Rich. Well, it's almost time for the Heat B final between Aftershock and Storm 2. Heat A's final between Carbide and Tough as Nails felt a lot more even on paper than this one does. Sure, Aftershock's got the dangerous vertical spinner, but he doesn't have a true Shreemac. He's going to have to rely on the disc popping him back, or maybe a mistake from Storm 2 with a flip that can get him back on his wheels. I gotta say, I think this fight favors the seeded machine. It's going to be a lot of fun, though, either way, to see how he approaches such a dangerous opponent. How do you think the final's going to go, Rich?
So, for the second time in a row, we have the seeded machine in a Heat final, that being Storm 2, against the underdog, Aftershock. Now, Aftershock's weapon does not have a whole lot of reach, and it can cause a ton of damage, but it takes a while to dish out that kind of damage. based on what we saw in his matches against Casius and Razer. As for Storm 2, it is wicked fast and very difficult to control. But if he can maintain control long enough, he might be able to score a quick KO over Aftershock. He might even be able to throw him out of the arena, like with what he did against Stegosaurus. But then again, because it's a difficult bot to control, he could end up driving into the pit, just like what Carbide did in last week's episode after dominant performance over Tough as Nails. But I doubt that's going to happen, so I'm picking Storm 2 to win this one. And on that note, let's begin the Heat B final.
Aftershock. Storm 2.
Robot stand by. 3, 2, 1.
And here we go with the final match of the Heat as Storm 2 goes shooting after Aftershock like a bullet and turned him over. Now Aftershock might not be able to right himself with that spinner. He could be in big trouble. The flipper pops up but only slightly pushes Aftershock aside. And Storm 2, it looked like he's lining up for another shot as Aftershock is now stranded on his rear end. He's trying to self-right, so he's able to drive a little bit. And now he's on the flipper, and the flipper throws Aftershock aside, over the wall and out of the arena. Storm 2 is the winner, and he drives himself out of the arena. How the heck did that happen? But here you can see the floor flipper throws Aftershock over the rail and out. Well, I kind of figured Aftershock would get thrown out of the arena, but not by the floor flipper. That was kind of surprising. But regardless, Aftershock has conked out, and Storm 2 is now storming through to the series semifinals. Nick, what do you think about that lightning-fast matchup?
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, it was certainly a fast Heat final, but this channel in particular knows fast finals across Robot Wars Reborn and BattleBots Reborn Cups, and Storm 2 himself, he knows a thing or two about fast fights. I now believe he holds the 3 fastest victory times in any fight across this channel and across our Patreon account with, I think, 3 under 15 seconds. That's pretty impressive from him. So join us next week for Heat C. We got another round of 8 bots ready to kick off their campaigns, and hopefully they can live up to the entertainment that we've seen so far in the first 2 episodes. On behalf of BattleBots Boy, I am the Barangoat. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Hope you had a good time.